This may be the sharpest vintage macro lens made. Let's find out. By the way, stay tuned till the very end. I'm going to give you some tips on how you can set your in-body image stabilization to the right focal length to get the best stabilization with vintage macro lenses. You don't want to miss that. Hey, thanks for joining me. So the other day I was shopping online on shopgoodwill.com, and I found this camera case. It was an old leather camera case, and it had a Mamiya 500 DTL 35mm camera, had a Tokina 28mm lens, and a Vivitar 135. And for a normal lens, it had this. This is the Vivitar 55mm f2.8 macro lens. And this lens has a particularly good reputation for image quality. And normally these things sell for a little bit of money. I think, if you look on eBay, you're going to see these as much as $150. Sometimes a little bit cheaper if the condition's not as good. Because this was kind of part of this kit and wasn't really well described in the advertisement or the listing for the kit, no one bid on it. So I got it at the starting bid of $15, and the shipping was about another $15. And so the other lenses need some cleaning. The aperture blades are kind of gummy on them. I'm guessing they didn't get used much. This lens, perfect. Everything just worked just fine on it. So the 55mm Vivitar, these were made, or this particular one was made by a company in Japan. Some pronounce it Komine. I think in Japanese it's probably closer to Komine. It's Komine. And you can tell Vivitar lenses, if you're ever shopping for Vivitar lenses, you can tell who made them by the first two digits of the serial number. So in this case, the first two digits of the serial number are 28. And that indicates it was made by Komine. I'll put a link in the description down below for a website where you can go and see the first two digits for all the different manufacturers. There's a bunch of them. Like 22 is Kino Precision, also known as Kiron. Some really good lenses. 13 is Schneider. Schneider actually made some lenses for Vivitar. I've never actually run across one, but that's the number listed. 37 is Tokina, which of course, that's a pretty popular name. And 47 is Chinon, which is also another good manufacturer. So, and there's a whole bunch more, some not as well known and obviously probably not as good. This particular lens was made in the 70s, probably the late 70s, maybe early 80s. It's 5 elements in 4 groups. And like I say, it's a macro lens. And one of the cool things about this lens is it goes from infinity all the way out to 1:1. So from infinity to like 3 feet is a very short throw. You can see here's infinity, there's 3 feet, so it's just really short. So it's to use this as a normal day-to-day 50mm lens, it's really nice to use. But if you crank this thing all the way out, it gets really long, and now it goes all the way out to 1:1 magnification. And you can see your magnification ratios listed here with 1:1 at the top. And so what that means, if you're not familiar with macro lenses, is the magnification ratio you can kind of think of like a fraction. And what it means is that ratio, let's say you're at 1:2 magnification ratio, 1/2 or 1:2 is how it's often printed. If you think of that as a fraction, that means that the image on your sensor is going to be 1/2 the size of your subject in real life, the size of whatever you're photographing. And so at 1:1 magnification, 1 divided by 1 is 1. So the image on your sensor is exactly the same size as your subject. A lot of macro lenses in the 50mm range only go to 1:2, and if you want to get out to 1:1, you have to use an extension tube. I know my Vivitar, my 55mm micro Nikkor is that way. You have to use extension tubes. This one happens to be an M42 mount, which is what the Mamiya camera uses, which of course I have adapters for. It's a really neat lens. Like I say, it's f2.8, stops down to f16. 6 aperture blades. It has its best sharpness at f8. And if you look at some of the tests on this, literally the edges are the same sharpness level as the center at f8. At f5.6, the edges are really, they're still in the excellent range, but they're really close to the center. Since I'm shooting this on micro 4/3, I'm shooting it mainly at f5.6. I'm not going to be using the edges of the image anyway, and at that sensor size, my edges and my center should be nearly identical in terms of sharpness. This was made in a variety of different mounts. You can get this in Canon, Nikon, Minolta, Olympus, etc. Vivitar made their lenses in a variety of mounts, and it's a really beautifully made lens, very smooth to use. 62mm filter, weighs a little over 11 ounces. But like I say, the reputation of this lens is that it has really excellent image quality. So if you run across one of these, this is one of those kind of things where your best value is when you run across a lens like this attached to a camera, and like I did, and people just aren't really paying that much attention to it. If you go on eBay and buy this lens, I think it's worth buying. If you look at a lot of the reviews that are online, people will tell you that this lens is probably the sharpest manual focus macro lens of all the vintage macro lenses. Even the name brand ones, Canon, Nikon, Minolta, Olympus, this one actually is sharper. And I took some pictures with it. I'll let you see these. I didn't use a tripod. I shot everything at f5.6 with the camera on aperture priority. So just letting the camera choose a shutter speed. If I really wanted to study how sharp this lens can be, I'd certainly probably want to use it on a tripod. Maybe even use it with a flash to get the shutter speed up. But this lens really performs nice. And the thing I kind of like about it, I love my micro Nikkor, but not having to mess with an extension tube is really handy. So this is, I think, a really great deal on a macro lens. So if you're shopping for a manual focus macro lens, I know there's a lot of new ones made by the Chinese these days. I don't think really any of them are going to be any better than this. So you can find these on eBay. Like I say, I've seen them up around even $150, but I saw some, cheaper, maybe even around $100. And I think it's a lens that's really worth it. Of course, if you get a used, a vintage lens, you want to make sure the glass is clear and there's no issues with it inside. But the pictures I've taken with this, it shows excellent sharpness. So let's take a look at some of these images. I've got just, about a dozen images. It's not very many. The last 3, I've actually got not only the image, but right behind it, you'll see the same image blown up at 100%. So you can kind of see, what the quality is when you blow it up even further. And I think you'll agree that, especially for handheld, just poking around, kind of taking some pictures, the lens is really sharp. I think this is going to be a great lens when I use to scan negatives, because it has that edge to center sharpness. If I'm using this on a copy stand to copy negatives, to basically scan negatives with a my digital camera, I think it's going to be really good for that. So anyway, let's take a look at some of these images, and we'll see what you think. hope you found those images interesting. I think this is going to be a great performer. I'm really going to enjoy using this macro lens. I love the fact that I don't need extension tubes. It's all just one piece together, and the image quality is just fantastic on it. So I'm really happy with finding this. Let's talk about in-body image stabilization using macro lenses. If you've done much with macro, especially using vintage or manual focus macro lenses, you know that when you run the magnification up to higher levels, the image is jumping around in the viewfinder like you had a 400mm lens on. And that affects the image stabilization. You can't set the image stabilization to the native focal length of the lens and expect it to work well at higher magnifications. It just won't do it. But there's a formula that you can use to know what focal length to set in your image stabilization to get more, better quality stabilization at higher magnifications. So I did some searching on this. This is not a formula that I dreamed up. Actually, I used a little AI online to find the formula and then verify its accuracy. So the way the formula works is pretty simple. You take 1 plus the magnification ratio and multiply that times the focal length of the lens. And that tells you the number to set in your image stabilization. So for example, if I set this lens at 1:2 magnification, right? So I want to shoot at where the image is half life size. The image on my sensor will be 1/2 the size of the subject, right? So if you think of these as fractions, 1/2 is 1/2. 1/2 is equal to 0.5. So if we add 1 plus 0.5, then I have 1.5 times 55mm, and I get 82.5 millimeters. So my camera doesn't have 82.5 millimeters. It has, I think, 85 and 90. So typically I'm going to go to the next higher number. So I would set my camera to like 85mm, and then my image stabilization will be more accurate. If I'm all the way out at 1:1 magnification, well, 1 divided by 1 is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. 2 times 55 would give me 110mm. On my camera, I have 105 and I have 120. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 120, and that gives me the best image stabilization at that magnification. So it's just real simple. 1 plus the magnification ratio, take that number, times your focal length of your lens, and that'll give you a focal length you can set in your image stabilization. Give that a try. If you're using manual focus macro lenses, I think you'll make a big difference in the stabilization for your images. Anyway, I hope that was all interesting. If you have any thoughts or comments, please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I always love hearing from you. And as always, thanks for watching.